Well, that could be a decent segue into last month's Game of the Month, because if you want sort of hyper violence and dramatic action, I think Call of Duty Black Ops is probably the one. Certainly
I
felt
thought,
that way for me. Did we miss
I
something?
thought, no, I thought I'd miss the Bears being in there. I was, what? Was there Bears
You,
in there that I haven't got to?
have you not got to the Bears yet?
No, all the slap battle, neither.
It's DLC. You're going to have to pay for that bit. But yeah, we both played Call of Duty Black Ops. It was included in Game Pass this
Mm.
year for the first time. Obviously, massive franchise. I was staggered. Even I knew it had been going for a while, but I was staggered to read that this is the 21st installment of Call of Duty.
Mm.
So Black Ops 6, which actually is a sequel to Black Ops 2 and Black Ops Cold War, which is one of the 7 Black Ops, just the one without a number. I'm sure you're all keeping up right now. But all that aside, single player story follows a rogue CIA operatives as they assemble a team of agents, really just an excuse for lots of exploding nonsense, and multiplayer and zombies modes to talk about too. James, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I loved it. Great game, in short.
Yeah.
If you want a 2-word summary, loved it. All good. But in more detail, really loved it. It's 3 words.
Okay.
So
Next.
I really enjoy campaigns generally. I'm not always one for multiplayers or open world stuff. I like focused campaigns where you're doing stuff and you can achieve stuff. I've talked about before in one of our early podcasts. I like the feeling of achievements to keep me going and keep the adrenaline flowing and the serotonin up and all the other fun stuff you get from gaming. And this one's got a great campaign. It's a decent length. It's probably between 8 to 10 hours, roughly, if you play it decently and aren't amazingly good or amazingly bad. Yeah, not sure which end I fall at, but there we go. And each of the missions, there's probably about 8 missions in there, I think, are all very different. So very, very interesting. So there's some which are fairly straightforward. Call of Duty, go around, shoot some people and go to the next bit. But there's others where you drive around in tanks and helicopters and you get fun bits coming in. There's a whole weird section whereby you're in some kind of building. Won't give too much away. And you've been to this building before in the past, apparently. And you have sort of hallucinogenic type moments in there. And it's really, really weird. Really funky. Not the kind of thing you'd expect to see in a Black Ops game, I found. So as I got to it, I was like, this is really weird. And there's lots of zombies in there, and there's lots of like sneaky mannequins that creep up on you. So like as you are walking along and you stop and you find the mannequins are creeped up behind you. So it's only if you're watching the mannequins, they stop moving. As soon as you look in the other direction, they creep up behind. It's really interesting. So I really enjoyed that part. That was really good. And there's a later part in the game, again, I won't tell you who the character is, but there's some interrogation type mission. And that's really weird as well. There's sort of, you kind of drug them to get some information out of them, and it sort of splits their psyche in two, and they're sort of battling between the good parts of them and the bad parts of them, and you go through lots of memories from their past to see how they turn into what they turned into. Fascinating game. So I'm really loving it. Yeah, good action, good variety, good length, not ridiculously difficult, but again, not too easy. Probably could do it being a tiny bit easier. I'm on medium difficulty, so I could have gone up a notch and still enjoyed it. But yeah, great game. Charles?
Yeah, echo pretty much all of that. Did you say you finished it, James? Or you?
No, I'm literally at the end of that interrogation part.
I was going to say, yeah, if you played that, that's sort of right towards the end. So
Yeah.
you are right there, and that level was sort of juxtaposed with a sort of siege level, isn't there? Again, I won't talk about the location, but that sort of mixture between a very, very classic Call of Duty sort of setup with just ridiculous number of enemies coming at you and all kinds of other craziness going on, and then that quite personal story of exploring the backstory of that person's psyche and the sort of slightly surreal idea of sort of jumping through their memories. It was really interesting, like you said, more interesting ideas than I think I was expecting in the game. You mentioned those mannequins. For any Doctor Who fans out there, this is essentially the Weeping Angels. It's almost exactly the same setup, that they only move when you're not looking. And I did think that, like, a lot of the levels, there's a load of invention. Completely agree, it was really good fun. But a lot of them reminded me of something else. So particularly, there are lots of very strong, I think, film influences. In that zombie level, there's a sort of ringing phone which just feels like something straight out of Control. Other games, there's a grapple hook type moment which feels like Halo Infinite or any of the other classics that have sort of implemented that. It really feels like the team developing it, I think it was Treyarch, kind of picked the best of all kinds of different things and managed to make it a coherent whole. So yeah, really enjoyed it as well. And have you, credit to Total Film, have you heard the expression Bayhem?
No, not really. No.
Okay, so there's a director called Michael Bay, a film director you probably know of, who directed Transformers and Bad Boys and all those sort of really like kind of brainless but fun action movies. And usually it sort of involves preposterousness, huge amounts of action, explosions in slow motion. That to me, this is a Michael Bay movie made into a game, basically. And yeah, I loved it too. We did allude to the fact that we also played a little bit of zombies together, didn't we? What did you think of the zombies mode?
Yeah, different. I wasn't sure what to expect from the zombies mode. I assumed there'd be some killing zombies, which obviously there was. I think Scotty commented after our last episode that I mentioned filling your boots with the zombies, and there is a lot of zombies. They're everywhere. Buggers. But it is quite level based as well, isn't it? So you kill a certain number of zombies and you move on to the next little segment or little section. There's two different maps, one. There's one quite claustrophobic one in a little place, and there's one bigger one where you can explore a bit more. But I enjoyed it. I wasn't wonderfully good at it. I'm quite good at the actual game, but not wonderfully good at the zombies part. Because they're moving. Whereas in the actual game, baddies tend to pop their head up and then hide down and pop their head up in exactly the same place, and you know where to shoot them in the head when they pop up. But the zombies was fun. Really good chat, didn't we? Had a good laugh playing it. We were fortunately teamed up with two people generally that were much better than at least one of us, if not both of us, and they did sort of carry our asses for most of it, and were quite good. But you can rank up as well. See, we started off on level 1, didn't we? And you can gradually go up the ranks in the army type ranking structure until you get better. So yeah, good fun. Enjoyed it. Would happily do that again. And it's nice to actually play a game together for the first time since we've done the podcast.
I was going to say, yeah, I think it's just a really different experience, isn't it? Playing something like that together.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it as well. And like you said, shout out to I've meant to write down their names, but I completely forgotten. But the two random punters who we were imagining quite loudly over voice chat. We were imagining they were probably just shaking their head constantly at having to revive the two of us. But to their credit, they did mostly revive us. They didn't just let us be sort of mauled to death by these zombie hordes. So thank you to something 69 or whatever your name was. No doubt we made your afternoon a lot worse, but you made ours a lot better. So thank you very much.
I'm sure they're thinking about the experience every day.
Yeah, probably. We're on a block list somewhere. Just don't play with these guys. They're your dad, basically.
I was going to say also, I enjoyed the puzzle type part as well, because I don't know if you explored it, but when you're in a safe house effectively, where you're basing your ops out of, and there's like a planning board and a training area, and you can buy equipment, all that kind of jazz. But you can also wander around the gaff with a flashlight and look for clues to the history of the safe house back in the sort of Soviet era. And you can sort of finally find a mystery door and go down into a mystery area where there's lots of puzzles to solve and lots of fun things and lots of voices and numbers hidden on walls and stuff, which you annoyingly only lets you unlock a safe and get $1,000 out of it. It's not that exciting. But you did get the achievement at the bottom. But yeah, it felt like it was going to be more interesting than that.
Exactly. That pop of that achievement was this little reward for lots of hunting around. But yeah, I enjoyed that too, and thanks for going back to it. I missed it on the notes, but that was indeed one of the again, another thing you didn't expect in the game, and a real change of pace when you weren't hurtling at someone's face with a shotgun. Enjoy finishing the single player, James, and I think neither of us have dabbled in multiplayer yet. Would you chance your arm, or rather expect to get a kicking at multiplayer at any point, or would you stay away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not generally a fan of people, so multiplayer is not something I generally dive into. Apart from with Fortnite, with Joshua, we do a lot of multiplayer there, and that's probably very similar, but a bit less cartoony. So yeah, I might give it a go one day, but it's not ever my first priority. I hate sandbox modes generally, and I hate multiplayer generally. I love campaigns and being on my own in a dark basement with no one else around.
Me too. If anyone's listening and is a big fan of the multiplayer, tell us why we're wrong. We love to hear that sort of thing. But moving on to another single-player game then. James, you rather confidently chose 2 games of the month, which we had some difficulty saying last month. So we had another game of the month to get through, and that was the Chaos Engine. Do you wanna describe that one, or I can take you through?
Yes. So you didn't describe the first one bizarrely, Charles. You had a whole script laid out about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You never mentioned any of it. I don't think. Did you? Did you?
Yeah, you just weren't listening. It's fine.
Maybe I nodded off. Now it's come back to me now, like a fever dream. Yes, you did mention it. Ignore me. I'll talk about Chaos Engine. Just skip that part. Good. Chaos Engine is a game where you shoot some things in one of 8 directions, and you get to choose between 4 different operatives who have a slightly different style and slightly different powers and slightly different strength of guns and speed and all that jazz. So you pick your characters at the start, and then you go into a level, and then you shoot some things. And the things change in each level, and even during the level sometimes. And they're strange monsters. It's quite like a 1990s type game, whereby it's not obviously graphically amazing. The sound is always quite funky. There's not much of an intro. There's not much of a massive story behind it. But roughly speaking, there's a chaos engine that's just sort of taken over the world and made things happen. And you're trying to defeat the engine by going through the small number of levels, killing the strange things. And there's things like frogs and stuff that come out, and frogs can bounce at you, whereas the other kind of monsters just walk towards you. So frogs are a bit of a pain in the bum, I found.
Those leaping frogs. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not a frog fan after that game.
No, massive ball ache, the frogs. And again, it's very, very linear. You go up a screen and you kill some things, and then you walk back down, and then you walk back up the screen again and unlock a special weapon or a power or something, and then you walk over something that creates a little doorway or a little hole in some trees, and then some zombies come up out of more holes in trees, and you walk around the map until it's finished and you get out the exit, and then you're on to the next level. But the annoying part is, which doesn't really happen in modern games, is that once you die a few times, then you're dead. Like in real life. There's no going back. So when you restart the game, you're back to the first start of the first level. So I think it's really hard, like most games from the 80s/90s, to finish a game, because unless you're really, really, really good or have an incredible amount of patience or love playing exactly the same thing over and over again for an hours on end trying to get better at it, then you're never going to see the end. So you see half the game, and that's it, really. So that was a bit disappointing, I think. These days, it'd be nice if they could have an updated version with a save point, heaven forbid. Well, interestingly, though, what's the game? The one where you make a software company, Game Dev Tycoon. In that one, save points only come some way into the game. So potentially, save points are a fairly modern feature that didn't exist at the time. Who knows? I'm being kind to the developers. But yeah, it's a good game. It's fun. I got further each time in the many, many times I played it, but I didn't enjoy it enough to spend all my days annoyingly bashing my controller at it to get to the end.
Same. Did you get out of the forest, the first setting? I think that's at least the first floor. Well, I didn't. So that was why I asked. Oh. When he said you have to be good, very patient, or something else, I was like, yep, nope. So I just played the same opening bits over and over again, and felt very much like, at least some of the times I died, that it was really not my fault, and it was just the game being unfair. Like trying to go up some stairs and shoot someone, you could not shoot up the stairs, even though the bullet looks like it goes up the stairs, and they can happily just walk down the stairs and kill you. So I didn't get very far at all, despite actually playing it a fair bit. But I definitely recognise how you describe it. I was going to say, I think that the strengths for me, number one, in a couple of pages of text, they managed to get across that story, as kind of ridiculous as it is, about the Chaos Engine and creating all these kind of mutants or whatever it was doing, and changing the world around you. So that was pretty good, not least because it had an absolutely banging soundtrack, which I'm not sure I can get away with saying, but I'm going to anyway. It was a sort of, I guess is it chiptune or whatever it is, that sort of very, very old style, created by a synthesizer type music. But oh my God, I love that song. I could listen to that over and over, which is good because I did, as well as the death screen. And the best thing about it for me, and just about those games in general, again, sort of enjoying a few of them through Antstream, was that I actually started playing it first because I was waiting for a 40 gig update to download the Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, screw it, I'm just going to start that. And it starts straight away, no update, very straightforward. Like you said, no nonsense such as useful things like save states or anything like that. Although there's a sort of password save system which I couldn't even work out how to do.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no update. It's very straightforward. Fewer buttons, locked camera, so probably a bit more accessible in terms of people being able to pick up and play it. But also, yeah, being able to fire in one of 8 directions when someone's just off that straight up or vertically up angle and you can't shoot at them, that's quite annoying. And like you said, permadeath. At least that, as you said, is more realistic. So that was the only thing I would add to that. And I enjoyed when you said, just like in real life, you just go back to the start and have to play all over again. If that's the case, and I have my memories, then I'm going to do it so much better. So that's quite reassuring. I like
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it, coming back? Who knows?
it. Would.
We'll find out one day, or we won't. One of the two.
Indeed.
So an interesting game. We picked 2 games, or I picked 2 games to. It's like a compare and contrast between a modern shooty type game and an old type shooty type game. And my hypothesis was that the old game was going to be a lot more difficult than the new game. And bizarrely, the old game was a lot more difficult than the new game because Giles has finished a new game and I've nearly finished it, and we got absolutely nowhere at all with the old game, not even past the first section in Giles' case. So again, a lot more easy to get into. There's no controls to learn really. You just walk in 8 directions and shoot some things. There's no big plot twist. There's no storyline. There's no special abilities. There's no helicopters to ride or tanks to shoot people, or no brain-altering drugs to induce into people. It's just fine. You just walk around, shoot some things, and carry on. Good to spend 5 minutes at. Probably not the kind of game you'd get into for like hours on end, but good to spend 10 minutes here and there so you can do better than last time. And yeah, fun, but in a very different way. And it reminisced me. It reminded me of my past. And on Antstream, you can choose between the Amiga version or the something else version, Mega Drive version.
Oh, I didn't even spot that.
Yeah, 2 options. Same game, same story, but different graphics, and it feels different, weirdly.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So try the other one. You might do better at it.
I'm not sure that's going to save me, but I'll give it a go and I'll report back.